Okay, part two. They went from 10 minutes to 15 minutes. They're going to go from 15 minutes to half an hour. Please God. Okay. So now, the question is, who has the gun, who doesn't have the gun? Now, my friend Lima Life, I love Lima Life's channel. I love her channel. She's just so well thought out. She thinks a lot more than I do. It's not saying much though. Duh. She is very, very conscientious of family. She has a baby. She's just a channel that everyone enjoys watching because she just has well thought out discussions and shit. Now, Lima Life made a video a few months ago, and she was understandably upset because someone told her, several people told her, that she should have her child taken away from her. Now, I've seen some fucking people in this country that are drunks, drug addicts, prostitutes, pimps, lowlifes, dirtbags, and their kids are with them, living in their house. Yeah. So for you to say to her, you have to have your kid taken away, that's like, whoa, wait a minute here. What the fuck are you saying? It's a big deal. The problem was, she made a video where she responsibly talks about how you can carry a gun and the baby, and she tries to use common sense to explain keeping the gun here, the baby here, keeping them separate. How would I do this? How do I do that? And it was very, very well thought out video. And I personally enjoyed it, even though I can't speak for anybody else. And there are people that are saying, you should have your baby taken away from you. And she also went on to mention that there are pictures of SWAT officers. I don't know if it's real or staged. They're most likely staged. SWAT officers decked out with everything. Knives, guns, grenades, everything. Carrying a baby. Like they're carrying a baby from the scene of a crime. And there are people that are like, that's so cute. And I'm like, it's cute. Okay. She has a 1911 on her hip. And you want to take her baby away from her. This dude has an AR type rifle, a Glock, several knives, a couple of gas grenades, and you think it's cute. And she went on to say something that I agree with very, very much. She went on to modestly talk about her experiences with guns. She has been trained by Marine Corps veterans. She has been trained by SEAL Team veterans. Hands-on, physical, hold my hand and watch me shoot, close range training. And she says without any ego that she has more range time and range instruction than most cops out of the academy. And I believe that to be true. A lot of people say only the police should have guns. Now, my dealer is a cop. His son, who's my age, is a cop. I have several friends and relatives that are cops. Most of the instructors I've worked under were cops. Most of my college professors were cops. Or, court officer, probation officer. They were some type of mentality of that spectrum. So I'm not going to bash the police at all. But I will say to you now, 2 out of 3 accidents that I heard of in my lifetime involved a cop. That doesn't mean 2 out of 3 accidents involves a cop. It means 2 out of 3 accidents I saw on TV, on the news, involved a cop. And they were the stupidest mistakes. They were literally mistakes that my 6-year-old nephew would not make. That's right. I could literally take a loaded gun, give it to my 6-year-old nephew, and he would not make the same mistakes that these adults made. I've heard them all. So when you say only the police should own guns, 3 problems. Number 1, you're saying that the people most likely to cause an accident should have a gun, and no one else but them. Number 2, only the police should own guns, yet they're 6 minutes away when I need them in 20 seconds. Only the police should own guns. That's exactly what Hitler believes. Hitler said, there's no, I don't know what Hitler's words were, But Hitler's mentality was, people don't need guns. I'll have a special division of the police and military, kind of like a hybrid of police and military, to protect the people. And the name of that organization was called the Schutzstaffel. Okay? So, one aspect is only the police should be allowed to own guns. Can they honestly protect me? The other aspect is, if a totalitarian regime takes over one day, God forbid, is that going to be used against me like it was in Nazi Germany, Soviet Union, Cuba, Libya, Iraq, Iran? You get the message. Okay, we get the message now. Let me check again. I have my clock here, but I also have to. Okay, 5. We're way under. Okay. Here's the deal. Okay, talking about how much training the police have. The police today have excellent training depending on where you go. Okay, New York City police officers, their training is longer than the U.S. Marine Corps. U.S. Marine Corps is out in 12 weeks. They do almost 6 months of academy and follow-up and shit like that. Where I live, there's the New York State Police, which trains New York State Police, DOI, and then there's the New York County, the Westchester County Police Department. Now every town, village in my home county has a police department. There are about 36, maybe 40 police. There's about over 40 police departments in my county. And the county owns an academy, and every single officer goes there. Doesn't matter if you're Westchester County, doesn't matter if you're Yonkers, doesn't matter if you're Scarsdale, you will go to this county police academy. Once you are done with the county police academy, you will go to further training at your own location. So if a Yonkers cop went to the county police academy and graduated, he would come out and he would go to the Yonkers Police Department, and before the Yonkers Police Department put him in the field, they would bring him to a shooting range they have. I went there. My mother got me a shooting lesson with an officer, with the training officer, privately. They go to a shooting range. They practice with a training officer. They go over several local ordinances. You know, on Thursday it's illegal to burp in public and shit like that. And then they go into the field with another officer who has much more experience and then holding a hand for them, saying, do this, do that, do this, do that. And then once they've gone through testing and evaluation and field training, then they're their own independent police officer. And they can be on their own, they can be with a partner of equal skill. So the police have a lot of training. Sheriff's departments, here's the deal. In New York State, if you're going to be a patrol officer, you take a police test, go to a police academy, and that's what you do. If you're going to be a corrections officer, you go to take a corrections test, go to a corrections academy, and that's what you do. If you're going to be a court officer, you take a court test, you go to a special court academy, and your only job is court officer. You do security in the courtroom, you protect the defendants, and you tell the idiots to get out when they talk too much. That's your whole job. Sheriff's departments, a sheriff's deputy does patrol, does corrections at the local jail, and does courtroom security. A sheriff's deputy has more freaking training than any 2 officers in my area put together. They are trained ridiculously well. Ridiculous. They have unbelievable training. But here's the deal. Your training, I don't give a fuck who trains you, whether it's the New York State Police or the U.S. Marine Corps or the Navy SEALs or the Secret Service. The best training in the world cannot erase your fucked up mentality. Okay? The common sense that God gave you or should have given you, that is your training right there. The common sense. I'm not going to point the gun at a person. I'm not going to pull the trigger unless I'm ready to fire. Okay? I'm going to make sure my gun is away from the kids when I go to bed at night. Okay? No one can train you that. I can't train you that. I could bring you to the best Navy SEAL in the world. He can't train you that. That you got to know yourself. Now, my buddy, the Virginia State Trooper, I had one professor for 4 classes who was a Virginia State Trooper at community college. I had another professor who was a New York City detective and union delegate, and for one semester. They both said the same thing. When they went to their academy, one guy, the New York City Police Academy, one guy, the Virginia State Police Academy, when they went to their police academies to train, you know what the fucking training was in the classroom? This is the gun. The bullet comes out here. You pull this, and you aim like that. That was the training they got. It was stupid. There was no, do you shoot a guy in the back as he runs away? When is it legal to shoot a guy? Is there a difference between stabbing and shooting legally? Okay? And the Virginia State Trooper, after being a patrol trooper, after being a criminal investigator, after being a crime scene technician, after helping the state police do the recruiting process, he would do criminal background investigations on potential trooper candidates. He ended up back training at the police academy. He went from police academy student to police academy instructor. And he said when he went back to the police academy, he would give them so much lecture about what not to do with the gun, it was disgusting. He would do nothing but lecture them about what not to do with the gun. And his classroom instruction about guns was a lot more than the firing range instruction about guns. 11:31, I'm good. And he would make sure that every trooper that he put in the field knew what not to do with the gun. Okay? So, the training wasn't always up there. It's up there now, but not always. Do you know that in the 1930s, I know I'm going back a long fucking time. In the 1930s in this country, the sheriff was elected because he was popular. His deputies were his brother, his cousin, his nephew, his neighbor, his son, his son-in-law, his best friend, his high school gym coach, if he even went to high school. Yeah, the deputy was hired because the sheriff liked him personally. There was no civil service test. There was no police academy. The sheriff got elected because he was the most popular guy in town. He would call on all his friends and relatives. They put their hand on the Bible, swear to uphold the law, take a badge, take a gun, and go on the street. That was it. That was it. New York City. And I learned about this because I took a class on police history and police management. New York City. There was a time when New York City, the mayor would tell people to vote for him. If you voted for the mayor, he'd give you a job. If you wanted to be a fireman, you were a fireman. If you wanted to be a secretary, you were a secretary. If you wanted to be a cop, you were a cop. The entire police academy, the entire police department was hired because the mayor liked them. And when the mayor left office, so did they. So the concept of well-trained officers that are disciplined and that are instructed and that have written tests and that have high school diplomas, and some of them have college degrees, some of them are military veterans, that is a brand new concept in this country, ladies and gentlemen. That is a brand new concept. So, who are you really against? Let me check one more time. I want to check one more time. Okay, we're gonna stop. I'm gonna do part 2, which is gonna be like 3 minutes long. That's it.